Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Saints Insider Podcast. Today is Friday, May the 23rd. I'm Zach Ewing. Here with me today, Rod Walker, Matthew Paris, and Jeff Duncan, and we are talking OTAs, baby. I finally got this after like years of either covering the NFL or being NFL adjacent. Organized team activities. Like, is it optional? Is it training? It's organized team activities. What they are is basically like the first official practices for a new team. And I think, I don't know, Matt, we tend to make a big deal about them because they're the first ones. Then we look back on them and say, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened in OTAs. But it is still the first time, especially in a situation like this with the Saints where everything is so new, that we get a chance to actually see what the Saints are going to be about in 2025.
Yeah, you can't overreact, but you can react. And the Saints presented a lot of different looks, a lot of new looks, particularly along the offensive line, I'm sure we'll get into. But it was also good to just see everyone. Like, you know, what stood out to me about yesterday's session was not so much the new, but also the old, because Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, they look completely healthy. This is a mostly healthy roster at this point in time. And so, you know, there were some absences and such, but it's good to see the group together and see how they might do under Kellen Moore.
Yeah, at this point, everybody's just glad to have something to react to. So, I mean, we just get excited about having something.
We're still speculating, but we're speculating with like at least a little tiny shred of evidence.
But I once again have a rant. Organized team activity. I hate that.
I was just
way
about
too
to
wordy.
rant about that too, but go ahead.
It's just practice. Why can't we just call it a practice?
Isn't every practice an organized team activity?
Right.
It should be.
Like, this does not differentiate these practices in any way whatsoever.
Do our readers really read that? You know, like, I mean, come on. It's a practice. Just like a mini camp's a practice.
But I
Mini
think
camp I'm okay with because it's like, you know, it describes what it is. It's like training camp, but it's small. It's mini camp.
Condensed.
I think the Saints probably had like a
Condensed
bunch
camp.
of unorganized team activities, and that's why they're 5-12, and that's why we got a new coach.
They need more.
Once the regular season started,
These
it
are
was
MOTAs,
unorganized. Yeah.
more organized
How
team
about
activities.
disorganized team activities? DTAs.
It is a really stupid term if you think about it, but it's what we have, so we're going to react to it. I want to go big picture first. And Rod, I know you're writing about this. It's not up yet, but you can find it this weekend, NOLA.com/Saints. Kellen Moore, I think this gets lost a little bit in this offseason because we've had the Derek Carr saga. You know, we've had some long discussions about the draft and Tyler Shuck and where Spencer Rattler fits in. And the quarterback situation has just been this massive distraction. So Kellen Moore, at 36 years old, is going to take over as the youngest head coach in the NFL, and how he interacts with players and how he runs practices and how he does all the – we're not going to get to see a lot of that, but we're at least getting our first glimpse of it here.
Yeah, you know, yesterday I got a chance to talk, because we hadn't talked to any players about their impressions of Kellen Moore, not any of the veteran players in a way, so it was kind of a chance to finally do that, and just hearing some of the guys talk about just kind of how the mindset's kind of changed. I think all these guys are just really excited about having a fresh start. And that was kind of the gist of what everybody was saying. Like, you know, they're kind of just looking forward to this fresh start for this team. And so I'm kind of looking forward to see, you know, how that transitions over into the actual games. But so far, everybody likes him, and they like the way he operates, and they like the way he's running practices. They're getting a lot more done in practice. They put a lot of focus on the body and all that stuff. So maybe that can help this team stay healthy and get the results that they want.
The next time you hear a player say, this new coach doesn't know what he's doing, like these OTAs are terrible, will be the first time. So I don't know how much we can like the O in OTAs could be optimism too. Like everybody is always optimistic. So I don't know how much you take away from it.
I would say this. I mean, to Matt's point earlier about, like, you know, it's the first time you're out there seeing everything. I kind of came out a little skeptical. I know that'll shock you all, but like to see how well run the practice was. I mean, there's a lot of new moving parts. There's new coaches, new schemes being implemented, all kinds of new players. And I thought the practice was very crisp. It wasn't sloppy. It was well run. I mean, that's a very good sign considering everything that's going on out there. You know, there's always going to be enthusiasm and energy at this time of year. But for me watching, I've seen a lot of practices over the years, and this was a very impressive from an organizational standpoint. I think that's a good sign for a 36-year-old head coach kind of going through this for the first time. And I talked to him afterward, and he said, one of the things when he put his staff together that he really wanted to have was some experienced guys like a Scott Linehan on the staff, that had been head coaches before. And I think that's evident right now. He knows, Kellen Moore knows he's not going to have all the answers. I mean, he's very aware that there's going to be a lot of curveballs in his rookie year as a head coach. But my takeaway yesterday was that was a very impressive first look at a Kellen Moore operation.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point because you think about last year, like there were so many little substitution penalties, or that they were late getting guys on the field and they had to burn a timeout. And yesterday when they were going kind of through walkthrough stuff, they were going from base to nickel and guys were coming in and out. And that was really smooth to your point. And, you could hear where we were standing. You could hear like Bo Davis talking to Vernon Boughton just about small, intricate details. And, like, they were coaching them up. They were getting guys in and out and presenting different looks. Like, it did look smooth, to your point.
Yeah, like, it just surprised me how it was not sloppy at all.
So this is, would you say it's a noticeable difference from DA practices? Would you be able to see that?
I wouldn't say that, but I just came in thinking it was going to be a little slower because of all the learning that was going on. There was a lot of, you could tell, there was a lot of teaching. I thought it would just be a little more, hey, let's stop and kind of figure things out. That wasn't the case at all. They were going. And it was, when you do that at that pace with so many new players, coaches, and schemes, you expect it to be a little haphazard, and it wasn't at all. I mean, look at the numbers just on the offense, from the offensive side of the ball, just how crisp it was. Now, I was standing watching practice with Bobby Hebert, and he made a point. He said, in these 7-on-7s, the ball should never hit the ground.
Yeah.
And he said the ball should come out quick. He said if you're scrambling around at quarterback in 7-on-7, that's not a good sign. It should come out right away. So I guess we'll find out more as we go along.
One other thing about Kellen Moore before we move on, the man loves the word excellent.
Excellent job.
Everyone has done an excellent job and is in excellent form.
Well,
and
process is number 2.
Process, certainly, is number 3.
Yes, certainly. Certainly, which he somehow tries to make like a one-syllable word.
Obviously, as
Certainly.
well. Certainly.
We're learning all the
We're
Kellenism.
learning the DA look.
Look.
Yeah.
And yet. Yeah.
So every coach has his, and I suppose we would too if we had to get up there and talk for 20 minutes at a time, multiple times a week about the same thing. So we'd probably come up with things too. But yes, Kellen Moore doing an excellent job. Excellent job. Certainly.
I'm impressed with the process.
Yeah, impressed is another one. Yeah. Okay. Moving from the coach to the quarterback situation. You mentioned the ball should never hit the ground. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck were a combined 15 of 16 in 7-on-7s. Tyler Shuck had the only incompletion. Jake Haener, by the way, that's the news. He's strained oblique. He's going to miss OTAs. Might be back for minicamp. It sounded like he was optimistic he could be back for minicamp. Is that
That's what
right?
he said. That's what he told me.
And if not, certainly for training camp. And I mean, those are valuable reps Jake Haener is missing as probably the third wheel in this race. Anyway, I kind of wanted to dig into Spencer Rattler a bit. I think since Shuck was drafted, he's been largely dismissed. Is it fair to say that? Like, it's kind of like, Shuck's Kellen Moore's guy, and they wasted a lot of, or not wasted, used a lot of draft capital on him. He's the presumptive starter. And I don't know that even 3 good OTAs would change anybody's mind on that. But I think Spencer Rattler did kind of have a, hey, don't forget about me performance.
Yeah, I think he did. I think you're right. I mean, I think we all kind of think that Shuck's going to be the starter. But I do think Spencer Rattler can make this a race. He can make it a competitive competition. I do think he has to, like, kind of, like, I think if it's close, I think Shuck's probably the starter. But I think if Rattler can pull ahead or Shuck has a really bad camp, I think, perhaps Rattler can be the starter. But I still expect it to be Shuck despite how well Spencer Rattler played on yesterday.
Yeah, again, it's one practice, but I don't know. Like, Kellen Moore made the point that quarterbacks especially, make a huge leap in year 2. We could see that from Spencer Rattler. Like, I mean, I could see this race going into the preseason, certainly.
Oh yeah. It'll definitely go into the preseason. They're not going to name Shuck the starter coming out of mandatory minicamp or anything like that. He did look comfortable. He looked decisive. That was the thing. When you think about where Spencer Rattler was a year ago, or around this time, it's the first OTAs, Jake Haener looked miles ahead of him. And I don't necessarily know if Spencer Rattler looked miles ahead of Tyler Shuck, but he looked pretty comfortably ahead as of right now. Like, even though Shuck was 7 of 8, he was a little hesitant. Mm-hmm. The ball got out a little slower. Rattler was just crisp. Like, that thing was flying. It was going around, decisive of where it needed to go. Now, Shuck had the splashiest play of the day with that deep ball to Rashid Shaheed. But I just think Rattler at this point, like, you could tell that he has a year under his belt. And how does he progress on that moving forward, I think will be interesting to monitor.
Yeah, and I think Shuck's naturally going to be a little behind, Even though this is a new scheme, new system, everything for everybody, he hasn't been in the NFL. His head's probably swimming. So we'll see, like, can he progress through the offseason? It would be natural for him to be behind and then to gain comfort and confidence as we get into training camp.
Yeah, I think, as Matt, that's an important point. Rattler was behind Jake Haener at this time last year and had passed him, by at least the midpoint of the regular season, if not before that. I think the Saints would like to see Tyler Shuck pass Spencer Rattler by the time the regular season starts. I think that would be good for the organization and what they're planning. But I don't think you can dismiss Rattler. And I mean, look, if this is a real competition, I guess the only downside is that your starter is not getting all the reps with the ones throughout training camp, right?
Yeah, but they mix and match their rotation. Like, Shuck still threw to Olave and Shaheed a lot yesterday. Those guys, like, they rotate the receivers to where even if, like, the third string, like, if Haener was healthy, he'd be getting reps.
Right.
With at least, Brandon Cooks or...
Yeah, there's a rotation going the whole time. So, like, you're going to throw...
Yeah.
And you're going to do that in individual drills and all that.
Okay, the related part of this is the receivers, as you guys mentioned. And so I think that was the other big picture takeaway we can talk about here on the offensive side. Chris Olave is back. Rashid Shaheed is back. None of that's a surprise, Rod, but, like, man, I think it just underlines if this team is going to reach anywhere near its upside, whatever upside that is, those guys are going to be key in that. You're going to need Olave, you're going to need Shaheed, you're going to need to stay healthy, and that may have been the best thing of the entire practice.
Yeah, I think saying Rashid especially. I mean, we knew Olave had kind of worked his way back, but Rashid, like, I don't know if I even expected him to be going full speed like he was, but I mean, he's had a bunch of injuries, but he's always seemed to come back from them just as good as he was, before the injury. So I was impressed to see his speed yesterday. But the key is going to be, are those guys still around in the middle of the season? They haven't put a full season together, neither one of them. So that's going to be the key. But it was good to see him out there yesterday for sure.
And I think it's fair, like, when we evaluate Rattler, he didn't have those guys last year. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, he only had them for the Tampa Bay game, and then that was it. And think about the offensive line injuries Rattler suffered as well. It was really hard to evaluate him. But as far as the receivers, I asked Brandon Cooks about, you guys don't really have a taller receiver, but, can speed negate that, whatever. He's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, kind of really shrugged off that narrative, and he made clear that he had heard that noise. And so, I think there is maybe some truth to that. I think they need a little bit more size, but if you can,
it doesn't matter at all.
If you can negate and they can win their matchups, they're very fast guys. The speed really just popped out. Maybe that's just spring optimism, but they have a very fast receiver room.
Man, before your time, but Washington had the Smurfs back in the late 80s, and you could hit the bell.
Is that a bell? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Charlie Brown, and I don't remember who the other two guys were, but.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to.
Ricky Sanders, maybe?
Was it? Okay.
Well,
Ricky Sanders, Charlie Brown?
Well, no. Which one are we talking about? The Joe Gibbs receivers or the.
I'm talking about the first.
Smurfs.
Oh, okay.
Smurfs.
It's definitely Ricky Sanders.
Yeah. Charlie Brown was definitely one of them, too.
Yeah, Charlie Brown.
Okay.
Back when
He wasn't a Smurf. Art Monk was a pretty big guy.
That might have been the Fun Bunch.
What was that
was
other?
the Fun
Fun
Bunch.
Bunch.
Yeah.
Fun Bunch. Everybody has a nickname. I love it.
Yeah. But Smurfs.
That was
We gotta
Gary
come up-
Clark and.
Yeah. But
We
anyway,
got to come up with a nickname, man. Rod,
I didn't mean
that's
to
you.
sidetrack. Yeah.
I mean, look, the game's different nowadays too, but what they have is what they have. I don't think there's some solution at receiver sitting out there. I mean, you could argue, could they go get Tyler Boyd or somebody and add a different type of receiver? But I don't. I mean, I think what they've got is what they're going to have to hope.
Yeah,
produce.
I mean, you don't want to go just get a big receiver that can't play. You know, I think their top three are pretty entrenched. From what
I mean, they brought Donovan Peoples-Jones in.
Yeah, I think he would be that.
And maybe Bub Means steps up and makes that leap.
I actually think Bub Means has some upside too. I think he could fill a role. Okay, so that's the receivers. We did coach, quarterback, and receivers. We have some more takeaways for you, offensive line, and then stuff on the defensive side too, the ways people were lining up, all that good stuff. We're going to have more OTA takeaways for you right after this break on the Saints Insider.
There's no better place to parlay than Caesars Sportsbook. With Quick Picks, you can tap right into pre-built, ready-to-bet parlays right from the home screen. And if you miss tip-off, no worries. You can play same-game parlays live during the action. Plus, it's never been easier to find and bet on the biggest matchups of the day, so you can keep up with all the action. Caesars Sportsbook, proud partner of the NBA and the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. Download it today.
Who's like,
welcome back
Miami
to the Saints Insider. We're having a little during the break discussion here. We're still talking about speed versus size in the receiving core, which and again, like I don't think size is just a non-factor. Like that.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
That's a little silly. But if you're Brandon Cooks, what else are you going to say?
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just saying if you don't have size on the roster, which they really don't, at least a receiver, then you can negate at least some of, like, you can still have a productive offense. Maybe you're not going to be top 5 or whatever, but you can win your matchups with speed. You can still hit on deep shots down the field. Maybe it'll just be a little harder in the red zone, that type of thing.
The difference is with size, you don't necessarily have to be open. You can, you have guys who can, as the kids say, do the head top or the contested catch, whatever. With speed, you're going to have to use your speed to get open.
Are we saying size doesn't matter?
Jesus.
I knew you were going to go there. All right, we're moving on. Speaking of size, the offensive line, how's that? We saw the way that the Saints lined up the offensive line. Kelvin Banks at left tackle, Trevor Penning at left guard, long rumored, finally saw it, and Tali Fuanga at right tackle. Is this permanent, Matt?
I don't think it's permanent in that, like, next week they could have a different lineup just to try it out. But when the dust clears, that could very well be the 5. I mean, we'll see how Peng does at left guard. It's too bad Luke's not on the show today because I feel like he's been pounding that drum for months. And, they feel like he has the size and the athleticism to make the switch there, that he'd be a force in there. And, Kellen Moore pointed to Mekhi Becton, who he coached on the Eagles last year. He said that they made that switch after mini camp, which I didn't realize. And so this is coming a little bit earlier. You're giving Penning a little bit more time to get acclimated to the switch. And, yeah, we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be an automatic success, but if they feel comfortable trying it, why not?
I think the way he talked yesterday, I think this is what they want to work.
Yeah.
Now, they'll have to see how it plays out, but it felt like this is what they want to go into the season with at this position. And I think there were 2 schools of thought talking to people about this offensive line situation. There are proponents throughout the building of how to handle it. There were a lot of people that wanted to keep the line intact and put Banks at left guard because they didn't want to mess with Penning and make him move, and now you're moving 3 positions. But there was another school of thought, which I think won out, and that makes a lot of sense, is you're not sure long-term if Penning's going to be even with you, right? They didn't take his 5-year option. So if you're not sure and you think eventually Kelvin Banks is going to be your left tackle of the future, you might as well go ahead and do it now, because then you're going to be moving him next year, and then you're kind of delaying the whole thing. So I think that school of thought won out here, and they're going to hope Trevor Penning develops and becomes their guard, but you definitely want to take care of those tackles. And Kellen Moore spoke to that yesterday. He said, we've got our 2 tackles now we feel really good about. And I think that's the most important thing, because Trevor Penning, as much progress as he did make at right tackle a year ago, he was still sometimes a liability out there.
Especially in pass pro.
Yes, yeah. Especially against speed rushers. So now you hope you have that taken care of, and you worry about his transition to guard. I think that's a secondary concern compared to your tackle concerns.
And one of the things he also mentioned about tackles is, a lot of people, we make kind of a big deal about Fuaga going from one side to the other, and Kellen Moore said he doesn't really think that's a big deal, shifting from right tackle to left tackle or vice versa. So we'll see how that plays out. But
I don't know if Fuaga agreed with that, by the way. I was talking to him, and
What did he say?
he was just like, yeah, it was a little bit like there was some rust involved. Like, it was definitely different. Like, I feel like going from left to right in the NFL, he felt like was a little different. I didn't ask him about Kellen Moore's quote directly, but he definitely seemed like it was going to be like harder than.
it's not just a matter of just.
Kellen Moore's not out there.
He was asked about like, do you think it's like riding a bike again? He's like, well, no, there's like stuff you have to learn. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
I mean, it feels to me a little bit like learning a dance move from the other position, and you have to the steps are all opposite, and you can get it, but I don't know. I think every person's like this. Like when you do lunges in the gym, I feel more comfortable when I step forward with my left foot than I keep my balance better than I do if I step forward with my right foot. It's just the way that my brain works or my body works or whatever. And like Fuaga obviously has played right tackle plenty before, so that's not going to be a problem. But you have to kind of switch the steps in your head, I would think, of what you're doing.
Well, and that's why I think Moore was saying continuity is critical for that position. So that's why I think they don't want to be moving him around a lot, because the more reps he gets at right tackle, the more it's going to become natural to him. So I really think we're going to see this most of the offseason, but they'll have to cross-train a little bit because an injury happens. That's one thing that would be interesting to see is, say Fuaga went down or Banks, what they would do. And I think we're going to learn that as the offseason goes along by who they cross-train.
Yeah, that offensive line, though, has some – like they have invested a lot into it. You got 4 first-round picks and a early second-round pick, I think, on that line.
And with 2 young quarterbacks, I mean, they've got to step up. It won't work at all if you're under pressure the whole time.
And in OTAs, like you can't, as you said, overreact to anything. You can't even hardly – the offensive line is not doing anything against anyone else. Like they're just in drills against blocking sleds and things like that. They can't. You really can't tell it's going to work until live action.
I will say though that the size is really apparent.
Yep.
Like this is a big offensive line, and we'll see how it does.
All right. I hate to just dismiss the other side of the ball into one segment here, but defensively or anything else you guys took away from yesterday? I know you mentioned Vernon Broughton earlier, like the way they were moving him around and lining him up might be a window. And then also Alontae Taylor in the secondary. That's a window into how Brandon Staley may be running this defense and changing things.
Yeah, I think Taylor, his usage yesterday was really interesting. One, opened up in nickel. That was the big question. Is he going to be inside or outside? He was outside in base, but you don't really play base that much in the NFL. So, he's going to be the inside guy, I think, is where they would like him.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him a lot on cornerback blitzes, which, that's one of his strengths. That was cool to see. He tied for 4. He had the 4th most sacks last year with 4, and he was a cornerback, on the Saints anyway, not league-wide. And so, yeah, I just think, we talk a lot about Kellen Moore when he was hired. Oh, look at the way he adapted his scheme to his personnel. Well, you want that from your defense as well. And so I think the coaches look at a player like Alontae Taylor, realize he can do a lot, and they're trying to take advantage of that skill set.
And what I took away yesterday is that they're going to be really multiple up front. Yeah, their base is going to be a 3-4, but they're going to be in a 4-man front a lot. Some guys will be standing up on the edge. I mean, this is going to be a 1 to 2 year transition. And I think Brandon Staley is smart enough to realize, we don't have the perfect personnel for a 3-4 scheme. So I think they're going to be multiple up front, and you're going to see them in a lot of different fronts. And some guys will be standing up, some guys they'll have their hands down. And again, this kind of goes back to we kind of overthink a lot of this stuff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of a lot of sub packages, but I think they're going to be very multiple, and that's going to be kind of fun to watch how they employ that.
For me, I was just going to say that what kind of stood out to me was this: seeing Cam Jordan in year 15. You could tell he's still having fun. And you mentioned guys with their hands in the ground or just standing up, and seeing Cam do both of those yesterday was something we hadn't really seen a whole lot. But I mean, you look at some of these veterans. Tyron wasn't there. DeMario's not there. Alvin Kamara's not there, but here Cam is, still going through OTAs like he's a rookie trying to make the team. So I think it's good to see that out of a guy that a lot of people have kind of written off.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to take the optimistic viewpoint, which is what we do at this time of year, like that versatility and those multiple sets, like best case, that kind of confuses an offense. Like you're not sure what you're going to get from these guys if you have multiple guys who can play with their hand on the ground or standing up. You have multiple guys in the secondary who can blitz, play inside, play outside. Another guy who wasn't there was Quincy Riley, minor injury. Yeah. What did Taylor's usage and the way the secondary lined up, do we have any idea where Riley fits into that?
Not yet. I would assume outside in place of Yadam, but that's just more of a guess.
I think they want him to be outside.
So he and Kool-Aid are your outside corners.
I think your star nickel guys are Taylor, Ugo Amadi, and they had another guy in there. The guy they got that used to play in Staley's, Burgess, Burris?
Burgess.
Yeah, Burgess. He was also playing that position, but
he was in camp with Washington in 2023.
There you go. I'll tell you the other thing that was interesting to me, and I know this is one practice, right? So, I mean, we got a long way to go, but I think this rookie class is going to get some run, man. I mean, you got a starter at left tackle. You're probably going to have a starter at quarterback. Stutzman was
taking first team reps with Pete Werner because Damara wasn't there. Now, they switched that later in practice to where it was Nephi Sewell, but when we first got out there, he was taking it anyway.
Yeah, Broughton. I mean, they're going to think at least early on get a chance.
There's no doubt this team is going to be way younger in the two deep. I mean, there's almost no way around it. We talked about like if Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley are your starting outside corners. What's that? 5 career starts between them, and you're asking them to go out there and play on the outside. Like it's kind of going to be sink or swim time for some of these guys.
Yeah, no, but it'll also be kind of fun. Like after all these years, kind of the same old. It's going to be fun to see how these guys. And you're right, they're going to sink or swim because they're going to get tested right away. It's a pretty merciless league.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Anything else we want to discuss before we call it?
No,
I know the tight ends were injured. Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, they're not going to be back for a while. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was going to say I want Jeff to go buy us lunch because today's the day that.
Today is Clancy's day. Thank you to Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys for failing to win the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Do we get interest on this bet, by the way?
No.
I wasn't even on staff yet, but I'm glad I'll take that bet.
You get lunch and
do we get dessert though?
Yeah,
maybe,
of course.
maybe
You get anything you want.
Dessert,
okay.
Anything you want. I made sure we go for lunch, not dinner.
That'll be the other bet. Didn't you make two?
There'll be another bet to come.
I feel like there was another one. I can't even remember what it was.
I'm sure Luke remembers it. But we are paying it off. I'm paying it off. I never want to hear this again.
All right. We are going to go to Clancy's. We want you all to have a good holiday weekend. We urge you to subscribe to the Saints on NOLA.com YouTube channel. We're putting some videos up. I'm trying to get some videos of practice up yesterday. I was having some trouble, but I will try to get them up this afternoon so you can see those. We got the crawfish boil. The rookies trying crawfish for the first time. Although I will say Tyler Shuck looked like he'd done it before. You guys watch those videos?
Yeah, he did.
He looked like he had done it before.
He also eats king cake in the month of May, so.
Yeah, I don't know. They're almost pushing this a little too hard.
They're not almost. They need to dial it back, man. This campaign they're on.
Shuck fits New Orleans like I love. Yeah.
Just wait till he breaks out of prison.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that was not a serious. For all you libel lawyers out there, that was not a serious comment. It will be funny too if they do all this and then Spencer Rattler beats him for the job. And Shuck is just the world's most popular backup.
I thought about that. They are building a lot of their campaign around Shuck.
Yeah, Rattler beats him out. Then Tyler Shuck will be this year Spencer Rattler, and he'll have his own agenda.
What if Jazzy Jake Kaner wins the job? Then they're not going to know what to do.
Come on. Hunter Deckers may have a better chance.
He was saying everybody always counts me out. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well,
same.
Prove us wrong. Okay, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find all that stuff. Hit the like button while you are there. We appreciate you. And have a good weekend. For Norman Bell, he's our producer was Norman Bell. For Rod Walker, Matthew Paris, and Jeff Duncan, I'm Zach Ewing. And we will see you on the next Saints Insider.